Hello and welcome in the 10th episode. In today's episode, we will implement the highlight of our square, of our grid. So if, for example, we select this square here on our board, then we want to highlight this huge square and also this horizontal and then vertical line like that. So if we select this different square, let's say this one, we want to highlight this square and then this line and that line, okay? So the highlight will be based on our selection. So let's open our project, and then the first thing we want to do, we want to create new script. So go into the scripts folder and then right click, create C# script, and then I will call this script line indicator. Let's open it. Okay, and inside the script we actually don't need any of this start or update method, so we can delete it. Okay, so the first thing we need to actually add the variable. So I will create a public static line indicator. So it's going to be the same name as the name of our class. That's going to be the instance. Okay, and then inside the awake function, so let's create a function void awake. If the instance is equal to null, we want to assign the instance to be equal to this. Otherwise, we want to just destroy. Destroy this. Okay. So this will guarantee that we have inside our game only one instance of this line indicator at any point. If there is more than one instance created, it's going to be destroyed straight away. Okay, so we have this one. So this class will actually contain some data, so we have to create like a few different arrays. So let's go back quickly to our project first, so I will explain you what we actually gonna create. Okay, so if you go back to our project and then start the game, let's press play. Easy. Okay, as you see, we have our board. So our squares are indexed from the 0. So this is the index number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we have 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on. So we want to create like two different arrays. One array which gonna indicate which gonna contain the index based on our horizontal lines. So the first row will be like from 0 to 9, then it's gonna to 8, then from 9 to 17, from 18 to 26, and so on. So this is one array which we're gonna create, and then in order to actually highlight the certain square where the selected square is in, we need actually a different array which gonna contain the numbers. So from here to there, so all of those indexes will be part of the first row. Okay, hopefully I didn't make this one too complicated. It's a very simple concept. So let's go back to our code and let's start implementing it. So let's open again our line indicator, and then the first array which we're gonna create is gonna be the array which will contain the horizontal index for our squares. So it's gonna be private int, and this is going to be the square array. Okay, so in order to create squared array, you need to put the comma here, and then we will initialize it straight away. So it's going to be line data, and then we want to create a new int, and that array is going to be 9 by 9. Okay, and then I will create things like that. Okay, and then because this is the square array, so we need to, for our first row, we need to put these braces, and then we can put the indexes. So it's going to be, the first line will be indexed from 0 to 8. So it's going to be 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then let's get comma. And then the next row will be indexes from 9 to 17. So it's going to be 9, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17, okay? So we need to have 9 numbers in the row, so it's gonna be 9 numbers here, 9 numbers there, and we need to do the same for up to index 80. So let's, I will pause this video now, we'll create this array, you can do it as well, and then I will return when this array is created, because it's going to be time consuming, I think. Okay, so I have created my array. So as you see, I have made like a small space between every 3 numbers. So the first row is number from 0 to 8, then from 9 to 17, 18, 26, 27, 35, and so on, up to number 80, because we have 81 squares, okay? And then, of course, at the end, we need to put the comma. So this data will be used to actually indicate on the horizontal and the vertical line. Then we want to have the same array, but because this is the square array, we want to have exactly the same array, but the flat array. So let's just copy this array and paste it below, and I will name this array line data underscore flat. So it's going to be flat array, and then of course we need to remove this comma, and we need to remove these numbers and put 81, and we need to get rid of this all of these braces. So I will just hold Shift and Alt, and then press the arrow down to actually highlight multiple rows, and then press Delete, and then at the end I will do the same, but starting from the top, and just delete those braces, and then of course we need to put the comma, okay, and then we don't need this comma, and we don't need that comma. Okay, so make sure you do the same. Then we need one more array, which gonna store all of the numbers for the squares. So as you see, this is gonna be helpful now, my spaces, because we know exactly the squares indexes. So the first square have an index from 0 to 20, so 0, 1, 2, 9, 10, 11, and so on. So this is gonna be our first row for our square data. Okay. So let's quickly create that array. So it's going to be private int square data will be equal to new int, and then it's going to be 9 by 9. Okay, and then it's going to be exactly the same procedure as that. So the first row is going to be 0, 1, 2. So 0, 1, 2. And then 9, 10, 11, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, so that's going to be our first row. So the second row will be this square. So it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 12, 13, 14, 21, 22, and 23. Okay, so the next row will be this square. So it's gonna be the 6, 7, 8, then 15, 16, 17, 24, 25, and 26. Okay, and then so on. So now we're gonna get this square. And we need to do exactly the same for every single square. So that one next, then this one, this one, this one, and this one, okay? So I will just pause this video here, and I'm just gonna output all of the indexes. Okay, so I have put all of the indexes in. As you see, I just made a small gap between every 3 numbers. Okay, so at the end, I will just put the comma, and this is gonna be our square data. So we have our data in. Now let's create some helper functions to actually get the right index for the right square and the right data. Okay, so right at the bottom, I will create a function private, and then I will just put the brace like that. So it's going to be int, and then int. So this function will return the pair of the integers numbers, and I will just call this function getSquarePosition. position, and then we want to pass the int square index. Okay, so this function will return the position of the current square, so it's going to be the row and the column index. Okay, where the square is sitting. So let's first of all create some variables. So int position row will be equal to -1, and then int position column will be equal to -1. Okay, so we just need to assign some garbage at the beginning, and then for int row will be equal to 0, and then row will be less than 9. So we know we have 9 rows in our grid, and then row plus plus. So this is going to be the first for loop, and then inside we're going to create another loop. We're going to loop through all of the columns now. So for int column will be equal to 0, and then column will be less than 9, and then column plus plus. Okay, so make sure we put all of the braces in the right order. And then what we want to do, we want to check if our line data, row and column will be equal to square index. Actually, I need to put one I. So if we found our requested index, we want to assign the position row will be equal to row, and then position column will be equal to column. Okay, and then at the end of this function, we want to just return, and then we want to put the position row and then position column. Okay, so this function just literally going through all of the data and then getting the row and the column for the requested square index. So it's a very simple function. Okay, now let's create some helper function which we're going to call outside of this class. So it's going to be public, and we want to return the array of the integers. And then we're going to call this one get horizontal line, and then we want to pass the int square index. Okay, so let's quickly review what this function is going to do. So we're going to pass the square index. So let's say we selected this square here, so we want to, for our square with index 3, the horizontal line will be this one. But for our square, for example, 42, the horizontal line will be this one. Okay, so this function will be just taking all of the numbers from the horizontal line. Okay, so let's go back to the function, and then the first thing we want to put is int array line will be equal to new int of size 9, because we know we have 9 elements in the line, and then var square position row will be equal to, and then we're gonna use our function, so get square position. We want to pass the square index, and then we want to get the first element of from whatever this function is return, so it's going to be the row. So we can put just simple dot, and then we can get item 1 or item 2. We know our item 1 is a row. Okay, so we want to take the item 1. Okay, and then let's put a loop. So for int index will be equal to 0, index less than 9, index plus plus, and then inside this loop we're going to put the line at index will be equal to line data. And then we want to put the square position row, so we're going to get the correct row. And then index. Okay, so we're just going to copy the whole elements. We're going to just copy all elements from the line. Okay, so we want to get the line, and then we want to look through all of the elements and then just copy them to our new array. And then of course at the end we want to just return line. Okay, so this is our horizontal data. So let's do the vertical data now. So right below I will create a similar function, so public int, and then this is going to be the array, and let's call it get. Get vertical line, and then we want to pass the int square index. Okay, so I will just copy the first two lines from the previous function. Okay, but the square position, we don't want to get the row, we want to get the column. Okay, so we just change these names to col, and then instead of the requesting item 2, this time we're going to get the item 2, not 1. Okay, so the item 2 is our column. Okay, and then we want to create the array again. So for int index will be equal to 0, index is less than 9, and then index plus plus. And this time we just want to get the line at index will be equal to line data at index, and then we want to pass our column in as a second parameter. Okay, so what this will do is let's go back to our array. So let's say if we select number 10, it's going to go through the array and copy all of this number vertically. Okay, so it's going to be number 1, 10, 19, 28, 37, 46, and so on. And for every single selected square, we're going to have a different line. Okay, let's go back to the function, and then we just want to return line. Okay, so this is our vertical data. So now we need to return our square data. So if we select, let's say, this number, we want to return this indexes from this square. Okay, if we select this number, we want to return indexes from this square. So let's do that. So right below, I will create another function, which will be the public int, and that's going to be the same array. Get square, and then int square index. Okay, and this function will be very simple. So it's going to be int array, and that's going to be our line. It will be equal to new int and the size of 9. Okay, then next will be int position row be equal to -1, and then let's create the first loop. So for int row will be equal to 0, row is less than the 9, and then row plus plus. So we want to look through the rows, and then we want to look through the columns as well. So for int col is equal to 0, col is less than 9, and then col plus plus. And then if our square data, so we want to use this array now. Okay, so if our square data at row and then column is equal to square index we want to assign this position row, so pos underscore row will be equal to row. Okay, so we're just interested to actually get the right row from this array, because this array contains all of the indexes inside the row for every single square, as you remember when we was creating it. Okay, so we're just interested to take the specific row. So once we have the row, we wanna go outside of this for loop, and then we want to create another for loop. So make sure you are outside of this block of code, and then for int index is equal to 0, index is less than 9, and then index plus plus, and then we just want to copy the results. So line at index will be equal to square data at position row and then index. Okay, so we want to get the specific index, and then we want to return line. Okay, so we just want to return the line. So that's it for this function, and then the last function we're going to create is going to be public. We want to return the int, and then I will call this function get all square indexes, and this function will just return line data flat. Okay, so you want to just return the flat array, so this array which contain all of the indexes for every single number. Let's actually put the space. Okay, so that's it for this function. Let's say for this class, let's save everything, and now we want to actually make use of this all function which we just created. So let's quickly switch to our Sudoku grid, and inside the Sudoku grid, let's first of all create the on enable and on disable function. So right at the bottom, I will just call private void on enable. Okay, and then below this function, I will create private void on disable. Okay, and then inside the on enable function, we want to call the game events dot on square selected plus equal, and I will just put on square selected. We don't have this function yet, but we will create it in a minute. So I'll just copy this line, and then on disable, paste this line here. But instead of plus, we want to put minus. Okay, make sure you put minus here. And then we want to create this on square selected function right below. So it's going to be public void. We just paste this name on square selected. So int square index. Square index. Okay. So first of all, what we want to do in this function, we want to create the var horizontal line. Horizontal line will be equal to line indicator dot instance dot get horizontal line, and we want to pass this square index. Okay, so we have our horizontal line, So the next one will be var vertical line will be equal to line indicator dot instance dot get vertical line, and we want to pass the square index. Okay, and then var square will be equal to line indicator dot instance dot get square, and we want to pass the square index. Okay, so we have our data. We want to pass the square index. Okay, let's quickly go now to our grid square, and let's see if we have our function to set the color of the square. Set. Okay, so we don't have the function. So let's inside our grid square class, right at the bottom. So let's create new function, which is going to be public void, and I will call this one set square color. Set square color. Okay, and this function will accept the color. Call. Okay, and inside this function we just want to create the var colors will be equal to this dot color. Okay, so we first of all want to grab all of the colors, then we want to get the colors dot normal color will be equal to color, so the color which we just passed, and then we want to do assign all of those colors back to our object. So this dot colors will be equal to colors. Okay, so this is a bit tricky function, but this is the only way I found to actually manipulate the colors of the square. If you have any better way to do it, just let me know in the comments. Okay, so we have our public function to set our grid square color. Let's go back to our game Sudoku Grid class, and inside the Sudoku Grid class, right above on square selected, we want to create another function which will be private. So it's going to be private void set squares colors. Set squares color. Okay, and then we want to pass the array of the integer data and then color. Okay, and then we want to do the for each var index in data. Okay, and then we want to get the component, so var comp will be equal to grid squares at index dot get component, and we want to get our grid square component, so grid square. Okay, and then if component if comp dot is selected is equal to false. So we want to set the squares only for the color only for the squares which are not selected. So the one which we select is going to remain is going to have a white color. Okay. So if the square is not selected, we want to set the comp dot set square color and we want to pass our color. Okay, Hopefully this function is not too complicated. And then of course we need one more brace. Okay, so this is just the function to set the colors for all of our squares. And then let's go back to our onSquareSelected function. So we need to call this function from here. But before we do that, we actually want to have one more variable, which is going to be public, set from the editor. So let's scroll right at the top of this class. Okay, and then below the square gap, I will just put new variable, which will be public color, and this is going to be the line highlight color. And by default, I will set it to color.red. It doesn't matter what color you set actually. Okay, so let's go back to our function. So right at the bottom, we want to call this setSquareColor, and then first of all we want to get all of the squares. So all of the squares need to be white. So let's call line indicator dot instance dot get all square indexes. So we want to set the white color to all of the squares, so it's going to be color.white. Okay, and then we want to set square colors for our horizontal line, and we want to pass the line highlight color. Okay, let's actually duplicate this function 2 times. So we want to set our highlight color for horizontal line, for the vertical line, and for the square. Okay, and that's it for what we have to do from this class. Let's save everything, and let's finally go back to Unity. And there are just 2 things which we actually need to do. So the first one is go to the scene. Open the game scene, and then let's click on our main camera and go back to our scripts, and then let's just grab this line indicator and then drop it into the main camera below the menu buttons. Okay, make sure the scripts is there, and then let's select our canvas and then go to our grid, and as you see we have new variable line highlight color. So I will set this color to be like blue or bluish. Okay, so let's click on this color, and then I will just paste the hexadecimal value in. So it's just gonna be like a blue color. You can get the same value, or you can set different color, whatever you like really. Okay, so I will have like a bluish color. Okay, let's go back to our scenes, main menu, and then make sure you save everything. And then when I press play now, let's press play. Easy. And then if we select this square, as you see, this square remained like a selected. So this is like green color, and then the rest of the colors, the rest of the squares are highlighted by the blue. So if we select different square, we have different area highlighted. So I think this looks very nice. So if you don't like this green color, and if you like white color, we can change this one in if you stop the project in our prefabs. So go to our prefabs folder and then grid square. Let's double click on this grid square prefab. So you see we are in the grid square, and then if you select this grid square, as you see we have this green color set as a highlight, press on the selected color. So if you select those colors and set everything to white, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, and then press this arrow to save this prefab, and then make sure you hit save. So if you go back and play again. As you see, we have a white square and then blue area, which is highlighted, which area is like under the consideration of us when we input the number. So as you see, this is actually this is not really working, because if we put the wrong number, so play again. If we put the wrong number in, we have the red color in, but then if we highlight this area, it's just clearing down that color. So this is not what we really wanted. So let's quickly fix this. So we have to go back to our script. So script grid Sudoku grid. Actually grid square. So inside the grid square, we need to add one more variable. So below has default value, we want to put another private bool has wrong value. Okay, and then that's going to be equal to false. Okay, and then we want to create public function below. So public bool has wrong value, and then we want to return this has wrong value variable. Okay, and then we need to set this variable inside the class. So let's quickly go through the code. So set correct number. Inside the set correct number function, we want to set this has wrong value to be equal to false. And then okay, on set number function. So if the number is not correct number, we wanna set this has correct value to be equal to false, to be equal to true. So that means this square have a wrong number. If the number is correct, so in the else statement, we wanna set this variable to be equal to false. Okay. So make sure you set everywhere this variable. Then let's switch back to our Sudoku grid. And then in our right at the bottom, in the function which we just created, so set square color, in this F statement, we want to first of all check if the component dot has wrong number, so has wrong value, is equal to false, and is selected. Okay, so this is just the small modification we had to make. So let's save everything, and now let's go back to Unity, press play. Easy. Okay, and then let's make one mistake. So red. So if we select now the square, you see the red color is not disappearing. Okay, you see, even if we select the error square, the square turning to white, but if we deselect it, it's going back to red. Okay, so I think the highlight is actually working fine. Okay, so that's it for this episode. If you like this episode, please leave the like and consider subscribing if you like this series. So thank you very much for watching, and see you again in the next episode.